Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today you are in for another treat. So, let's get started. The Academy had made its decision. Lan Fei, caught red-handed for stealing girls' clothes, had been expelled with the evidence against him irrefutable. The college leaders unanimously agreed that he would never be admitted again. Shouting, "Young Master Yun, Young Master Yun," Han rushed over early the next morning and says there are two pieces of news, one good, one bad. Which do you want to hear? Yun Xiao looked up leisurely. The good news first. I assume it's that Lan Fei has been expelled. Han Bai gave a thumbs up, clearly impressed. You're right. The bad news is that the supervisor for this year's academic exam is Lan Fei's uncle, Teacher Wang. We're finished. None of us will stand a chance. Yun Xiao sneered. Finished? If he doesn't know his place, I'll make sure he follows his nephew out. Han, clearly stunned, says, "Young Master Yun, you're so domineering. But don't mess with him. Wang Feng is a teacher here, not like Lan Fei, who is just a student." "Humph, I don't care who he is. What about Lan Xian?" Yun Xiao suddenly asked. Han's face turned pale. "I almost forgot. Lan Xian has already announced that he wants to avenge his brother. This could be troublesome." Yun Xiao's smile deepened, his eyes gleaming with intrigue. "Oh, that's just perfect." He had been thinking about the five-color divine stone Lan Xian possessed. At the same time, a tense assessment was underway on the fourth floor of the Alchemy Guild Tower. Luo Yunshang focused intently on a giant battle axe suspended in the air, glowing a fierce red from the quenching true fire that enveloped it. The intense heat radiated outward, forcing the air to shimmer. Luo Yunshang spread her fingers and golden starlight spilled out, surrounding the battle axe. The once violent weapon began to stabilize, its red hue softening into a steady, powerful glow. Luo Yunshang commanded softly, "Condense!" The axe shrank rapidly before falling into her hands as a miniaturized version, now complete. Luo Yunshang held the battle axe, her face lighting up with joy as she approached the men, her respect for the white-bearded old man, Master Su, evident. "Master Su, please take a look." Master Su gave the axe a cursory glance and smiled. "No need to examine it further. This Hongyang axe has reached the level of a first-grade upper-tier Xian weapon. Yunshang, you've passed the test." Applause erupted from the other men, their admiration for her clear in their expressions. Luo Yunshang's eyes sparkled with pride. "Thank you, Master Su, and to all the masters." Master Su shook his head. "This success is due to your own hard work. We had little to do with it. I'm just curious, though, how did you manage to incorporate sky crystal sand into the red copper? You failed this part in your previous assessments." The other men nodded in agreement, puzzled by Luo Yunshang's success. Luo Yunshang paused, recalling a moment of advice from Yun Xiao. His words had come back to her. Although red copper belongs to gold, it has a strong fire attribute. But if there's sky crystal sand, it becomes tricky. Because sky crystal sand is water-based, it counters the fire attribute of red copper. To fix this, just treat sky crystal sand as an impurity and remove it with quenching essence. With a flash of understanding, Luo Yunshang nodded. The memory of Yun Xiao's advice had guided her to success. Master Su's eyes widened in realization. "So that's how you did it. Yunshang, your discovery shows your brilliance. I'll report to the king tomorrow. He'll be thrilled, and we'll hold a grand banquet to celebrate your achievement." Luo Yunshang blushed slightly, but her exhaustion made her appear even more radiant. "Master Su, please, no banquet. I prefer not to make a big fuss." Yen Lei, standing behind Master Su, smiled. "This is a great occasion. How can we not celebrate? You're the rising star of Tianshui Kingdom. Your achievements are unmatched. His Majesty himself will surely want to honor you." Luo Yunshang smiled softly, humbled by the praise, though she was more focused on the work ahead. Just then, another voice interrupted. President Su, I have something to report. Jia Rong, the other new alchemist, is deeply poisoned. Everyone turned shocked as Su Yuanxiao spoke with a sly grin. I've discovered Jia Rong used a banned item, the Blood Flame Stone, during the last assessment. The room went silent, confusion and concern rippling through the crowd. Master Su's face darkened. Su Yuanxiao, what are you implying? Luo Yunshang, sensing the tension, quickly excused herself. Master Su, I'll take my leave for now. Su Han shook his head with a sigh. No need to leave, Yunshang. As a core member of the guild, you have the right to know everything. You're entitled to stay. Su Yuanxiao's face twisted with smugness as he presented a list. This is the evidence. Jia Rong bought detoxification materials and has been secretly acquiring the detoxification pill. I believe he's been using poison to counteract poison. The other men glanced at each other nervously as the list was passed around. The details were too precise, too alarming. It seemed Su Yuanxiao had done his homework and Jia Rong's fate was sealed. Bring him in. Master Su commanded, his voice grave. Soon, Jia Rong entered. He greeted Su Han and nodded to the others, though his gaze lingered on Luo Yunshang with a quiet admiration. I just heard about Lord Yunshang's promotion. Truly remarkable. Luo Yunshang acknowledged him with a smile. Lord Jia, you're too kind. Jia Rong turned his attention back to Su Han. President Su, I've been in seclusion refining. What is it that requires my attention? Master Su said. Su Yuanxiao suspects you used the Blood Flame Stone. We need an explanation. Jia Rong's face hardened, but he quickly regained his composure. Su Yuanxiao, you're the one who owes an explanation. Not me. The room fell silent, everyone stunned by the display of Jia Rong's immense soul power. The situation had taken an unexpected turn. Su Yuanxiao, his eyes wide with disbelief, stammered, This can't be right. He was poisoned. I'm sure of it. But Jia Rong's grin told a different story, his confidence undeniable. Su Yuanxiao tries to examine Jia Rong with his soul power, but his soul power was deflected by Jia Rong's soul power. This made Su Yuanxiao bleed from his eyes and nose. Su Yuanxiao's soul was deeply injured, and a mouthful of blood spurted from his mouth. With disbelief in his eyes, he exclaimed, How can your soul power be so strong? Jia Rong responded with a cold smile, mocking, I am a true alchemist. Naturally, my soul power is far superior to those counterfeits. The insult caused Su Yuanxiao to tremble with rage, and he spat another mouthful of blood. All right, he muttered, his eyes dimming. His entire body seemed to deflate, drained of all vitality. His spiritual energy was quickly siphoned away, leaving him looking aged and frail. Su Han, watching in stunned silence, sighed. Su Yuanxiao, why are you doing this? Su Yuanxiao's spirit seemed dazed. Trembling, he muttered, President, I'm old and weak. I wish to retire and return home to spend my remaining years peacefully. Please grant me this request. The room fell into stunned silence. Su Yuanxiao's collapse, both physically and mentally, had been swift and absolute. Even Jia Rong was somewhat surprised, though inwardly he was elated. He had only practiced the soul refining technique for 5 days, and yet his soul power was already enough to crush someone of Su Yuanxiao's stature. For such a skill, even 50 years of servitude would be worth it. Su Han shook his head with a mix of disappointment and empathy in his eyes as he addressed the others. Su Yuanxiao has retired due to poor health. All grievances with him are hereby forgiven. No one is to harass him under any circumstance. His gaze settled on Jia Rong. Jia Rong smiled slightly, and with his arms crossed, he accepted the president's order. Su Han asked Jia Rong to help Luo Yunshang to collect her alchemist badge. Jia Rong nodded and left with Luo Yunshang to handle the necessary formalities. Master Jia, I have a request. she said cautiously. Jia Rong raised an eyebrow. Oh, what is it, Miss Yunxiang? Luo Yunxiang explained. I have a student who, due to physical reasons, is unable to practice martial arts, but he's extremely interested in refining and has acquired considerable knowledge. I was hoping you might consider taking him on as a disciple. Jia Rong frowned. A disciple? You're an alchemy master yourself, Miss Yunxiang. Why would you need my help? Luo Yunxiang sighed. His identity is special. As the leader of the National Guards, I can't afford a master-disciple relationship with him. He's the eldest grandson of Lord DONGHUA and the son of General Fai Long. The revelation caught Jia Rong's attention. I see. I've heard of the eldest grandson of Lord DONGHUA. A martial arts failure, wasn't he? But a martial arts failure with weak body would also struggle to succeed in alchemy. Luo Yunxiang nodded. Indeed, but this person is unique. While he may not be able to become a martial artist, I believe he can still make a significant contribution to alchemy. If you don't mind, I'd appreciate you guiding him. Even if he cannot become your formal disciple, I want to at least give him the opportunity to learn. Jia Rong's expression turned serious. If he meets the minimum standard of an apprentice alchemist, I will accept him. But this is a favor to you, Miss Yunxiang, he said, not knowing that the person they are talking about is Li Yunxiao. Luo Yunxiang's face brightened. Thank you, Lord Jia, she said as she watched Jia Rong leave. Reflecting on the conversation, she knew that by sending the young man to Jia Rong, she was not only providing him an opportunity, but also repaying the favor. 3 days later, the annual assessment at Jialan Academy was underway. The Academy's martial arts arena, a grand structure built by the former president of the Tianshui Kingdom's Alchemist Guild, Yang Di, was the site of the assessment. Its massive size and imposing architecture stood as a testament to the Academy's legacy. Nearby stood a statue of Gu Feiyang, with one hand resting on a sword's hilt and a faint smile on his lips, a tribute to the legendary figure created by his student after his tragic fall. Li Yunxiao stood quietly beside the statue as two students walked by, speaking in hushed tones. I have only opened 2 chakras. Will I be eliminated? The other one remarked. Don't worry, only the young master of the Li family will get eliminated this time. Han, Chun, and the princess approached him with concern in their eyes. Yunxiao, just ignore them, they said. Teacher Wang's voice suddenly rang out, silencing the crowd. Everyone's here. Those who aren't, they'll be eliminated. This year, I'm hosting the assessment. He looked around at the gathered students with a sinister smile. We're changing the rules this year. To pass, you must open your chakra and display 1,000 pounds of force. Unlike the previous years, satisfying one condition is no longer enough to pass the test. Anyone who fails a single condition will be eliminated. His gaze lingered on Li Yunxiao, a clear challenge in his eyes. Wang Feng knew that Li Yunxiao had defeated Lan Fei, which means he can pass the strength test. So he changed the rules and was eager to see how the young man would handle this, not knowing Yunxiao has already opened his chakras. Li Yunxiao, unbothered, met his gaze coldly. You want to see? Then open your eyes and watch carefully. With that, a blue light bloomed from his heart chakra. As he walked forward, each step opened a chakra, the light of his energy shining. The root chakra, the ego chakra, the crown chakra, 7 chakras, all opened, lighting up his entire body in a dazzling display. The crowd gasped in awe. Li Yunxiao stood tall, a figure of power and grace, as his spiritual energy flowed freely, overwhelming the arena with his presence. Wang Feng stared in disbelief. How is it possible? Isn't he a waste? Everyone knows he's a well-known failure. But he's so close to entering the martial warrior realm. Wang Feng had initially thought he could defeat Lan Fei through the use of elixirs or martial arts techniques. After all, Li Yunxiao had long been infamous for his damaged meridians, which made it impossible for him to practice martial arts. The students watched in stunned silence as Li Yunxiao took a step forward. He suddenly leaned back and struck out with a punch, his fist landing on the force-measuring stone with a powerful blow. Bang! massive explosion rang through the arena, sending a shockwave through the air. The energy released struck the force-measuring stone, leaving an imprint of his fist. The onlookers gasped in disbelief. "This can't be real," someone whispered. "How could he leave such a mark? Is he even a warrior?" The power behind that strike, it's more than what a newly advanced warrior could do. The students were in a state of shock. They couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Han and Chen hugged each other. "Li Yunxiao, you're good at hiding it," the princess said, her voice tinged with excitement. Wang Feng, however, looked livid, his pride crushed. He cursed Lan Fei in his mind for being such a failure, unable to detect the true power behind Li Yunxiao's abilities. "Are you all satisfied now?" Li Yunxiao's cold voice rang out. His eyes finally locked onto Wang Feng, and he sneered. "Teacher Wang, I've got more important things to do. I'll take my leave now." His words stung like a slap to the face, and Wang Feng seethed with rage. However, he could do nothing but suppress his anger. The moment he stepped forward, the ground cracked beneath him. But before he could recover, a man in white stepped in front of Li Yunxiao, halting his progress. The man smiled, his presence radiating superiority. "Allow me to introduce myself. I am Lan Xian, from the graduating class of the academy and the leader of the Xian gang." The mention of Lan Xian's name sent a ripple of surprise through the crowd. The students' eyes widened and whispers spread. Lan Xian's imposing presence seemed to demand attention. Li Yunxiao, however, was unfazed. He had dealt with more than enough arrogant individuals in his time. With a dismissive gesture, he pointed at Lan Xian and said coldly, "A good dog doesn't block the road." Lan Xian's fury boiled over, but he quickly masked his emotions. "I'm not here to argue with you," Lan Xian said through gritted teeth. "I came because of my good-for-nothing brother." Li Yunxiao's response was swift. "When you beat the little dog, the big dog comes. You?" Lan Xian's face twisted with rage. "Are all the Li family this uneducated?" Li Yunxiao raised an eyebrow. "Educate your sister. Your family has been at odds with mine for years, and so many have died. I crippled your brother, and now you come to lecture me? You must be a fool. Little bastard, if you want to argue, I'll make you regret coming into this world." Lan Xian snarled. Li Yunxiao clapped. "Yeah, that's right, a ruffian is a ruffian. Why pretend otherwise?" Lan Xian's face turned an even darker shade of red, his anger simmering just beneath the surface. "I'm not here to argue. I'm here to challenge you." Lan Xian produced a letter of challenge. "Originally, the situation with my brother was just a petty matter, a childish prank," Lan Xian continued, his voice dripping with disdain. "But now it's personal. I must teach you a lesson for your actions." Wang Feng, watching from a distance, fumed with frustration. He had spent so much time spreading rumors to salvage Lan Fei's reputation, only for Lan Xian to undo all his work. Now, the possibility of Lan Fei returning to the academy was completely shattered, and Lan Xian's actions only secured his own standing as the true leader of the Lan family. "What do you think of my challenge?" Lan Xian asked, looking at Li Yunxiao with an arrogant smirk. The students whispered among themselves, speculating what Li Yunxiao would do. Some feared that a fight with Lan Xian, 9-star martial warrior, would be a dangerous move. The princess rushed forward, her face full of concern. "Lan Xian, this isn't right. You're in your final year, and you're already on the verge of becoming a martial master. Li Yunxiao is still just a martial apprentice. Do you have no shame?" Li Yunxiao sneered. "The younger brother steals women's underwear. How good can the older brother be? When has the Lan family ever cared about face?" Lan Xian's face turned crimson with humiliation, and he scoffed. "You're just scared. You want a woman to fight for you? So this is the eldest grandson of Duke Donghua and the son of General Feilong." Li Yunxiao's gaze remained cold, and before Lan Xian could say more, he spat a mouthful of spit directly at him. It flew with such speed that Lan Xian could barely react in time. Li Yunxiao raised his middle finger, smirking as he said, "I accept your challenge. 3 days from now, in the martial arts arena, I'll make you kneel and lick my shoes." The crowd stood in stunned silence, unable to process what they had just heard. Han and Chun were terrified, rushing over to stand by Li Yunxiao, urging him not to be reckless. The princess anxiously said, "Li Yunxiao, don't do it. This isn't the time for you to be showing off." Li Yunxiao gave them a warm smile, and the three of them suddenly felt a strange sense of reassurance. Despite the danger, they found themselves believing in him completely. Lan Xian, seething with anger, struggled to maintain his composure. "You said it. If you don't show up in 3 days, there will be no place for you in the academy." Li Yunxiao didn't even glance back. He only laughed faintly, his voice carrying over his shoulder. "Don't worry, I won't be washing my feet for the next 3 days." Lan Xian's face twisted with rage as he watched Li Yunxiao walk away, his mind seething with plans for the upcoming battle. The conflict between the Li and Lan families had spanned decades, but now it was personal. Li Yunxiao's eyes narrowed as he walked away, a cold resolve settling in his heart. It would begin with Lan Xian, and from there he would uproot the entire Lan family. Without a word, he left the academy, heading straight for the Alchemist Guild, his mind set on the challenges ahead. In the Alchemist Tower, Li Yunxiao scanned the room and noticed an alchemy apprentice deeply focused on preparing a potion. The faint smell of medicinal herbs lingered in the air. The apprentice was engrossed in the process, carefully channeling his soul power into the potion vessel. Li Yunxiao, observing the scene, couldn't resist offering advice. "You've added too much cross-refining grass. You need to neutralize it with a dust flower or it'll explode in 5 breaths." The apprentice glanced up, noticing Li Yunxiao for the first time, and responded with irritation. "What do you know? Don't disturb me." 3 breaths, 2 breaths, 1 breath. Li Yunxiao murmured under his breath. At the final count, the potion, which had been calm until then, suddenly began to bubble violently before exploding with a loud bang. The apprentice stood there stunned, drenched in potion. Explosions like this were a common occurrence in the hall, so no one paid much attention. "How did you know there was too much cross-refining grass?" the apprentice finally asked, still shaken. Li Yunxiao smiled. "It's just something I can smell. I'm looking for Jiarong. Could you pass the message for me?" The apprentice frowned. "Master Jiarong is in seclusion. I'm not qualified to find him." At that moment, a beautiful woman approached, concern evident in her voice. "Brother, did you fail again? Are you hurt?" The apprentice, Lu Yu, shook his head. "I'm fine, just wet. It's a waste of these materials. I feel like a failure." Li Yunxiao turned to the woman, smiling. "Miss Lu Yao." She turned in surprise. "Ah, it's you." With a gentle bow, Li Yunxiao said, "It's an honor that the beauty remembers me." Lu Yao chuckled. "Last time, Master Liang, when you praised your single prescription highly." Lu Yu looked at Li Yunxiao with interest. "Are you an alchemist too?" Li Yunxiao nodded. "I used to be, but not anymore. I need to find Jiarong. Would you be kind enough to pass the message?" Lu Yao blinked in surprise before replying. "Master Jiarong just came out of seclusion. Follow me." She turned to Lu Yu. "Brother, don't give up. Keep trying and you'll succeed." Lu Yu sighed, his tone heavy with frustration. "Sister, you have always been the one earning money for my studies. I don't wish to burden you anymore. Maybe I just don't have the talent to become an alchemist." Lu Yao's eyes softened. "Brother, don't be like this. I believe in you. You can do it." Despite the encouragement, Lu Yu looked down, his resolve waning. Li Yunxiao smiled and said, "Just add 3 less cross-refining grass. If the color is too light, add 1 cloud mushroom. Trust me, you can do it." Lu Yu's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you really an alchemist?" Lu Yao encouraged her brother. "You should try it. Last time, Master Liang praised his prescription." After a moment of thought, Lu Yu nodded. "All right, I'll give it a shot." Li Yunxiao smiled and followed Lu Yao up to the 2nd floor. Soon, they arrived at a room. Lu Yao knocked gently, and a voice from inside responded impatiently, as if disturbed in the middle of his practice. Yunxiao said, "Jiarong, it's me, open the door." Moments later, the door opened with a bang. Jia Rong tried to hug Yunxiao only to be stopped by a direct kick to his face. Lu Yao was left in stunned silence. She had never seen Jia Rong, usually so proud and arrogant, act so deferential toward a young man. Not polite, but downright respectful, more respectful than when he met the guild president. Li Yunxiao said to her, "You can go now." Li Yunxiao entered the room. Inside, it was spacious, filled with various refining equipment and formations. At the far corner was a small resting area with soft leather sofa and a bed. The life of a magic refiner was grueling, requiring day and night practice, but it earned them the respect they had earned. Jia Rong, still beaming with excitement, spoke in a rush, "Young Master Yun, I not only recovered all my soul power, but I also broke through. I actually made a real breakthrough." Li Yunxiao glanced at him with mild indifference. "I came here to ask you to help me refine 2 pills." Yes, of course." Jia Rong immediately agreed. Li Yunxiao continued, "I need an origin-impacting pill and an origin-blasting pill." Jia Rong's eyes widened in disbelief. Origin-impacting pill and origin-blasting pill? These are close to second-level pills. I just became a first-level alchemist. I'm afraid I won't be able to make them." Li Yunxiao sneered. "I'm here, aren't I? Don't worry. Just start preparing the materials now. I don't have much time." Jia Rong was confused but complied. He quickly arranged for 3 sets of materials to be prepared, though he doubted they would be enough. "Why do you need 3 sets?" Li Yunxiao asked, raising an eyebrow. Jia Rong hesitated before explaining a first-level alchemist has a success rate of over 60%, but for something like the origin-impacting pill and origin-blasting pills, the chances are lower. 3 sets should cover it, though I've already asked them to find more. Li Yunxiao said nothing but walked to the refining equipment and took charge. "Let's begin. You will follow my instructions." Jia Rong, still in disbelief, followed Li Yunxiao's every command. The refining process was meticulous, requiring a careful balance of medicinal properties, and he quickly found himself nearly exhausted by the effort. "Okay, collect the elixirs," Li Yunxiao ordered, and Jia Rong, unable to take any more, rushed to complete the task. The 2 elixirs, origin-impacting and origin-blasting pills, floated gently in the air before landing in his hands. Jia Rong stared at them in awe. "I can't believe it. I actually succeeded, and I made 2 pills at once. How is this possible?" The exhaustion faded as he marveled at the results, but Li Yunxiao was less impressed. He took the pills, examined them briefly, and frowned. "Why is the purity so low? You're calling this refined? It's garbage?" Jia Rong's eyes widened in shock, but he didn't dare argue. He simply stood there, stunned by Li Yunxiao's unrelenting criticism. Li Yunxiao muttered in frustration, "You look like you're almost exhausted. I have to purify it myself. It's troublesome." He then added, "But if it's just purification, my soul power as advanced apprentice should be enough." He wrapped the elixir in his soul power and hovered over the formation. With a series of hand seals, a stream of fire shot up from the formation and began to burn the elixir. Jia Rong stood in stunned silence, his eyes wide. "Purify? Can the finished product really be purified? Isn't it only the raw materials that can be?" he asked, incredulous. Li Yunxiao, uninterested in explaining, continued to change the seals with practiced ease, carefully controlling the burn on the formation. Jia Rong watched intently, his mind racing to comprehend the hand seals. Although he had never seen these specific refining hand seals before, each one seemed oddly familiar, as if it contained something important. Yet, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't quite grasp it, and he scratched his head in frustration. After a while, Li Yunxiao sighed, a sense of dissatisfaction lingering. "It's done," he said, holding the 2 purified pills in his hands. "It's only purified to this extent. My soul power is still too low." With the origin-impacting pill, he was certain to reach the 1-star martial warrior within 3 days. That would give him the strength to defeat Lan Xian, the 9-star martial warrior. As a backup, he also carried a origin-blasting pill, ensuring that he would face no risk. Jiarong, lost in thought, silently counted the hand seals, 72 in total. But when he glanced at the purified pills, his mind went blank, and he murmured, "Flawless pill?" Generally, pills are classified not only by their level, but also by their purity. A pill with a purity over 90% was considered a flawless pill. Li Yunxiao left the room, and as he walked past the lobby on the first floor of the Alchemist Guild, he overheard Lu Yu's excited voice shouting, "Success! I finally succeeded!" Lu Yao smiled happily and, seeing Li Yunxiao, gave him a grateful smile. Li Yunxiao responded with a thumbs up before leaving the guild and heading back to Academy to continue his secluded practice. He knew that to defeat Lan Xian, he needed to condense his Yuan energy and break through to martial warrior level. If he wanted to challenge a 9-star warrior, he had to be fully prepared. Meanwhile, in the dean's office at the academy, the dean Zhong Lishan listened to Luo Yunshang's report on her recent advancements and chuckled, his old face breaking into a smile. At just 21, you've reached the 3-star martial lord realm and become a first-level alchemist. Your future is limitless. I'm planning to announce at the banquet that you'll be promoted to vice president of the academy. Luo Yunshang was taken aback. Vice Dean, how could that be possible? The dean interrupted her, his voice firm. If you can't do it, I can't think of anyone else. You are cultivating soul power, and you're one of the 5 commanders of the National Guards. Only you can command the respect of everyone. Luo Yunshang fell silent. Refusing would likely upset the dean, so she simply remained quiet. The office was heavy with silence until a commotion outside the window drew their attention. A large group of students was heading toward the martial arts arena. "What's going on? Why is everyone heading to the arena?" she asked, puzzled. The dean smiled. It's quite interesting. Li Yunxiao, one of your students, has accepted a challenge from Lan Xian, leader of the Xian gang, to fight for Lan Fei's honor today. Luo Yunshang's eyes widened. Li Yunxiao accepted Lan Xian's challenge? What happened while I was away? The dean briefly recounted the events and then scoffed. These students from the powerful class are becoming more and more unruly. Let them fight. It'll be good for them. Luo Yunshang, however, was alarmed. No, I must stop this. Li Yunxiao is just a waste who can't even open his chakras. How could he possibly defeat Lan Xian? He's clearly walking into trouble. The dean's eyes narrowed in surprise. What? A waste who can't open his chakras? Yunshang, we've both been deceived. During the 3-day test at the training ground, he opened 7 chakras and punched with 1,000-pound force. It seems this kid is far more scheming than we thought. I suspect he's already broken through to the martial warrior level. Luo Yunshang, stunned, murmured to herself, 1,000-pound punch? That can't be true. If he'd broken through, I would have noticed. It's impossible. The dean chuckled. Well, let's go see for ourselves. I'm curious to see where he stands now. Meanwhile, in the tenfold gravity room, Senior Yu remarked to Luo Lan, today, that loser is fighting Lan Xian. Are we really not going to watch? Luo Lan's eyes narrowed with disdain. You go ahead. I don't have time for that. Lan Xian's just picking on the weak. Only Lin Yu and Bai Chungfeng are true strong men in my eyes. Senior Yu felt uncomfortable as he noticed Luo Lan's focus shift to Lin Yu. Determined, Senior Yu left on his own to watch the fight. Luo Lan watched him go, scoffing. He's only interested in watching others fight. Pathetic. Suddenly a familiar figure walked past Luo Lan, catching her off guard. Li Yunxiao, she whispered, her voice tinged with disbelief. At the martial arts arena, a large crowd had gathered. However, as time passed and Li Yunxiao failed to appear, frustration began to grow. That kid's not coming, is he? Someone muttered. Probably not, another person added. Better to lose face than risk his life. Lan Xian, sitting in the arena, was clearly annoyed by the delay, but remained composed, closing his eyes as the discussions around him continued. Suddenly, a voice broke the murmurs. That useless kid is finally here. Everyone turned to see a figure approaching in the distance. Li Yunxiao walked slowly, his presence commanding attention. He moved as though he were out for a casual stroll, as if the competition was merely a leisurely outing. The princess squeezed through the crowd in a fit of rage and rushed toward Li Yunxiao. "You idiot! Why did you come? Go back quickly, he will kill you," she shouted. Before anything more could be said, Luo Yunxiang appeared in front of him. Her voice rang out angrily. "Get back! Stop causing trouble. I now declare the duel cancelled." The crowd fell silent in shock. "Cancelled?" they murmured in disbelief. "No wonder he's so confident. Looks like he had a trick up his sleeve. You've really embarrassed the Li family." Someone spat. Luo Yunxiang's gaze sharpened, her voice cold. "I only know that Li Yunxiao is my student, and I have an obligation to protect him." Li Yunxiao, standing behind Luo Yunxiang, suddenly spoke up. "Teacher Luo, I am the one who is your student, so why are you protecting Lan Xian? Everyone, you can leave. It will only take a few minutes to destroy Lan Xian." Luo Yunxiang and the others were stunned. Without waiting for a response, Li Yunxiao stepped onto the martial arts field, walking toward Lan Xian with determination. Luo Yunxiang clenched her fists in frustration, unable to stop the duel. She could only focus, prepared to intervene if necessary. She couldn't let Li Yunxiao be harmed. Lan Xian sneered from the other side. "I thought you'd chicken out," he taunted. Li Yunxiao's expression hardened. "Do you think you can extend your lifeline by saying a few words?" His voice was, and a surge of energy radiating from his body. Luo Yunxiang's eyes widened in shock. "A warrior," she muttered under her breath. Though the dean had told her Li Yunxiao had made progress, seeing it firsthand left her stunned. Just a few days ago, he had been nothing more than a waste with no chakra. Now, he was a martial warrior. The crowd gasped in disbelief. "No wonder my useless brother couldn't match him," Lan Xian sneered, a hint of anger creeping into his voice. With a burst of energy, Lan Xian's aura exploded, causing the air around him to spiral. The pressure was palpable, and students near the training ground felt it shift. "Impressive," a teacher remarked, nodding with approval. "Lan Xian is truly extraordinary. Within a month, he'll likely break through to Martial Master realm," one of the other teachers chuckled. "Look at their auras. I doubt Li Yunxiao will last even one move." Wang Feng stood to the side, his face grim. He wanted Lan Xian to be defeated so that Lan Fei gets another chance to rise, but deep down he knew it was a far-off dream. The dean suddenly entering said, "One move? I don't think so. I think you're all underestimating Li Yunxiao. This duel might be worth watching." The other teachers looked at him in surprise. Luo Yunxiang, too, narrowed her eyes as she focused on Li Yunxiao. His movements were slow, seemingly labored under the immense pressure Lan Xian's aura exuded. It seemed as though each step drained him. However, the dean, being a powerful martial artist of the Martial King realm, noticed something subtle. He observed that with each step Li Yunxiao took, the surrounding space seemed to vibrate, as if in harmony with his movements. It was a strange sensation, something he had never seen before. Lan Xian smirked. "You're already struggling under my pressure, and you still think you can defeat me?" His right palm began to glow with a whirl of energy, pulsating outward like ripples on water. But as the attack surged toward Li Yunxiao, something unexpected happened. Li Yunxiao's body suddenly shot upward, breaking through the attack's wind. The ground beneath his feet shattered as he soared into the air, faster than anyone could follow. Lan Xian's eyes widened. "What? So fast?" Li Yunxiao's speed was beyond anything Lan Xian had anticipated. "You think you can escape? Not a chance." With a flick of his wrist, the vortex expanded, extending the attack range dramatically, trapping Li Yunxiao in midair. But Yunxiao twisted midair, his body shifting in an almost impossible way, dodging the attack effortlessly. Lan Xian's expression turned to one of disbelief. What kind of movement technique is this? He's moving in the air. As Li Yunxiao's body shifted once more, he planted a foot firmly in the air, defying gravity. The dean's eyes widened in horror. That step, it wasn't just a movement. It was perfectly aligned with the frequency of the heavens and earth. He's pulling the power of the world into his body as the golden light enveloped Li Yunxiao. The gathered energy seemed to rush into his body, drawing power from the very world around him. The dean couldn't believe his eyes. "He's borrowing the power of heavens and earth," he exclaimed in shock. This statement left everyone in a state of disbelief. While Yunxiao was floating in the air looking majestic and his eyes shining golden. Will Yunxiao be able to defeat Lan Xian with such a technique? Find out in the next episode. And that wraps up today's recap. For another such treat, subscribe to the channel so that I can bring more such content to you and you don't miss the daily uploads. Do it. Subscribe. Please subscribe and don't forget to like, comment, and share the video. See you with another such treat.